So now,
Since you all just came off the weekend, we're gonna review before we move forward. Alright? So now, I had you to turn that page in the book so that we can go over that which we've already covered. So we're gonna start looking at those terms that are on that page. So now, starting with the first. Periodic table. You better have one, right? Alright? So now we added information to that periodic table. One person, not everybody. One person give me one piece of information that you have from that periodic table. Yes, ma'am. Energy level. What's another name for the energy level? Period. Did we come up with another word for that? We did. Okay. Now, chemical symbol. When we go through this chapter like we do when we're going to review, you already know the chemical symbol has what number on top? Atomic number. What's on the bottom? Atomic mass. Now we move forward. Notice it says average atomic mass. So we're looking at that number on the bottom. Next term, metal. Looking at your periodic table, metals are located on what side of the periodic table? Look at your periodic table. The left. Okay, so watch this. What separates the metals from the non-metals? The line which is the staircase, all right? So now we know the metals on the non-metals on the, when they combine, what do they form? Now, metal ores are metals, but when you combine a metal with a non-metal, what do you get? Two or more elements combine to form a compound. Now we got group. How many groups on the periodic table? 18. How many periods? 7. All right, so now turn the page. Don't worry about it. Just keep going. So now all we doing now is refreshing what we learned week before. We now know what the periodic table is, right? Turn the page. You should be looking at the periodic table, correct?
Yeah.
So now, if you see everything that's in light blue, is that a metal or non-metal? Metal. Everything to the right is a, when they combine, they form a, above the element, that number, what is that number? The proton, that's right. And electrons. Protons carry what charge? Electrons? Electrons? Negative. If I subtract the 2, then I get what? 0, which is none, which is neutral, or what's the other word begin with N? Come on. You said neutral, what's another word? Begin with the letter N. You got proton, electron, neutron. Alright, turn the page. Like I said, what we doing? Right, neutron or neutral. Turn the page, you see the chemical symbol. You see the atomic number. You see the mass. You know your metals. You know your non-metals. You know your metal ores. You see how it's separated. Turn the page. On that page, you see where it says group. How many groups?
18.
Next page, period. How many periods? 7 or 8. All right, because they fit in between. Turn the page. We get to the end of the chapter, which means now, like I said to you earlier, we're going to get into what's called chemical reactions. We now know if I combine an element and an element, I get a compound. Now, that is a chemical reaction because it involves elements. That's where we go. So we add on. Like I said, we're going to go back, forth, and add as we go forward. So let's look at the terms. Vocabulary terms. Chemical reaction. Now, a chemical reaction is going to take place when an element reacts with another element. Chemical formula. Now let's see if y'all catch this one. If I gave you a compound, that means means I'm gonna have a metal and a non-metal, right? So if I got a compound, how do I distinguish between the metal and the non-metal and a compound? What do I look for? You're looking at the symbol, but what about the symbol? No. Go back to that key right there. Turn back. Right there. Stay right there. Now go back. Go back. Go back. What page is that? 114. Look at 114. Yeah. Now just look at 114. Y'all on 114, right? So I'm gonna give you an element, and I want you to look at it. Find the element sodium. It's gonna be on the left side of your right there. That fine? All right. Now, what do you see as relates to sodium? That is, that chemical symbol is different. On the left side. It says Na, right? The first letter is what? Capitalized. The second letter is what? Lowercase. So if I give you a compound, and you're trying to determine what's in that compound, the first letter is going to always be uppercase, and then the second letter is going to be lowercase. Not all elements are going to have a capital letter and a lowercase letter. For example, if you look on the right side of the periodic table and you find fluorine, notice it's just a capital F. There is no lowercase. So to identify a compound, we look for a capital letter and a lowercase letter. Now, you'll never have two capitals. It's just one. For example, watch this. Watch this. That's the symbol for vanadium. It's not going to have a lowercase. That's why I say all elements are not going to have a lowercase. Yeah. Correct. So if I took hydrogen, watch this. If I took hydrogen and oxygen, which you all know is H2O, that H is capitalized and the O is capitalized. But as it relates to a chemical reaction, is what we're getting into, how many hydrogen, because you're looking at that number, it's going to be how many hydrogen? 2. How many oxygen? 1, because it's by itself. You get it? Because it doesn't have a number on the side of it, so it's understood to be 1 because it's by itself. Y'all got it? That's what we're moving on to. We're moving on to compounds. We went to atoms. We went through how they arranged. We went through what they look like. Now we're going to get into compounds, mixtures, and substances. All right? So now you got 2 types of mixtures. You got what is called a homogeneous mixture, and you got a hetero. Homo meaning the same or one. Hetero means different. For example, if you get up in the morning, and I don't know what you all eat for breakfast. I don't know if it's cereal, I don't know if it's oatmeal. Okay, you eat your cereal, right? So you take your cereal, and then you add your milk, right? So you see the milk, right? You see the, well, I'm just, it don't make no difference. You see the, watch this. You see the cereal, you see the milk. You can see it, right? It's a heterogeneous mixture. Because you can see everything that's in it. A salad will be a heterogeneous mixture. Because you can see what? The tomatoes, the croutons, the bacon bits. You see everything, whatever you put in it. I don't know what you eat. Move forward, watch this. So now, let's say if I didn't have the cereal and I just poured the milk, because everything looks what? The same. Y'all got it? So we talking about substances. Now we're going to talk about those were your mixtures, heterogeneous. Now you have what's called a substance. Some of you all had a substance today already, which was water. You don't see the hydrogen. You don't see the oxygen, right? But you know they combine together, right? That's what we're going into. Alright? Now, what I'm about to do is give you the assessment for you all to take. This is very important. You started out with 4 questions. You started out with 4. From 4, wrong class. You started out with 4 questions. You're moving up to 8. Like I said, we're going to continue to build as we get closer to you all taking the test. Now, before Easter, which is the 18th, which is 3 weeks from now, you all will begin testing until after Easter. And when you do, you won't start off with science. You're going to start off with English. Now, after the 18th, when you come back after Good Friday, but you all will be after Good Friday. Alright? But when you all come back, you're going to take tests. Testing is at the end of the month. So basically, it's the whole month of April. Alright, pay attention. Pay attention. Y'all ready? So watch this. Close your book. Go ahead and put your book up. Put it on your desk, wherever you want to put it. Yep. This test has 18 questions. We're going to do the same routine. We give it to you. I'm going to set the time. Remember, don't spend too much time on the question. How much time did you spend on the question? 2 minutes. If you do not understand the question, just skip and move to the next. But the one thing I want you to do is take your time. Read the question completely. Now, if you want to use the BTW way, you can use it. What I showed you was look at the question, see what's important in the question. Because then that way you know which 2 questions you don't need to answer. Alright? But take your time. Do not rush through it. Second thing, don't second guess yourself. Don't do that. If you feel that's the answer, be strong with your answer. Be sure with your answer. Alright? Take your time. Read the question. You got time. You ready to play? All minds clear? Y'all ready? Y'all sure? Okay. We're gonna find out real quick. Make sure you put your name. Make sure you put your name on your paper. Now, let me say this. The last page that you get to, when they were stapled, is facing the other direction. So it's going to be on the back. Put your name on your paper. Stop playing. Put your name on your paper. You got 18 questions. You can do it the BTW way, or you can do it the way I showed you, which is identify that which is important in the question to get your answer. Any other questions? All right, let's get started. We give you, it's 18 questions.